My name is Brian Largent. Today I'm going to be talking about advanced features that your phone system probably has that you don't know about. Oftentimes we talk to companies about their phone systems as we're talking about technology and computers. It's kind of a holistic view of their entire network, helping them improve their business productivity. And the phone system comes up and we'll ask customers, tell me about your phone system. What do you do with it? How do you monitor it? How do you know what's going on? How do you know who's calling who? You're missing calls. Because you're not gonna do a lot of business if people can't get through to you on your phone system. At least most businesses are not. So we ask customers this, and oftentimes what we get is, well, we've got some advertising. People call in, it'll play advertising. We paid a professional voiceover company. It'll go into a queue, and we have so many people that answer that call. And that's really where it ends. And one of the reasons for that is a lot of these phone companies out here are big ISPs, big internet providers, old phone companies, been around forever. And they deploy a phone system to your bare minimum requirements. They don't have a reason or a justification to try to sell you advanced features that might increase the support of your phone system. So a lot of the companies, they may sell you on features, but when it comes time to deploy the phone system, unless you directly ask for those features to be configured or enabled for your organization, they may not mention them to you. So a lot of phone systems with these big companies do a lot of stuff. You just need to ask and know what to ask for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover a lot of those features that your phone system may have or should have that's going to help your company. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go over reporting. If you can't quantify what your systems do, you don't know the value of them. So your phone system's no different than your business model, right? If you're looking at your business and you've got so much money coming in and so much money going out, unless you're watching that, you don't really know how your business is doing. So you really put a lot of time into doing that. Well, you should be doing the same thing with your phone system. So how many dropped calls did you have this week? How many dropped calls do you have today? How many people called you? How many connected? How many people disconnected before they received an answer? How long were people in your call queue? How many times was someone transferred within your organization? Because boy, if you don't want someone to call you back, you guys are, I'm sure, just like me. All they have to do is transfer a potential customer or a customer to a different department who transfers them to a different department to a different department. Once they've hit 5 or 6 people and you get a call drop, they're not calling back if there's a competitor they can go to. So you want to avoid that, but you got to know that it's happening. And you're only going to know that if your phone system is sending you active reports or real reports with data on them. So you want to know how many answered calls per extension. So for instance, if you have a whole bunch of people in a call queue and the calls come in, maybe you've got 2 or 3 people in that call queue that work really hard, they answer all the calls, and you've got some other people that aren't answering enough calls. So you want to know who's answering all your calls. And when you have that data, it gives you power to do more with it to motivate employees. For instance, if you say the person who answers the most calls gets a reward at the end of the month, or the person with the most time on the call, or there's ways to use that to benefit your organization to create motivation. So how many agents are in the queue? So we can give you statistics through our system, and most of these phone systems can do this. How many agents are in the queue? So if you look at a given month and you look at all your agents, if the average for an agent in the queue was only, let's call it 90 hours, and everyone else was 130 hours, well, you need to find out why that agent wasn't logged into the queue. Were they out sick? Were they just goofing off and not doing their job? Again, it's another way to validate that people are doing their jobs and that your company is going to be productive and not hitting a roadblock trying to get new customers in. You can spend all your money doing marketing efforts, but if people can't reach you, it's really not doing you any good. So also call distribution. Where are the calls going within your organization? So one thing about reporting is you really need to have that scheduled. It needs to come in on a regular schedule and go to specific people in the organization, and it needs to be looked at. It should be part of your weekly or even maybe daily discussion where you go over how many people called, who's answering calls, and you're using that as part of your management routine for your staff. So the next thing is dashboarding. Now, not all phone systems have this. This is a little bit more of an advanced feature, but if you have a phone system that does dashboarding, you can have a dashboard up, say, just on your monitor that you minimize or maximize throughout the day to see what's going on in your phone system. At any given time, it'll show you how many people are in your call queue, how long the average wait time is, and just give you a real-time view. What this is really handy for is if you get a very high call volume, you might need to take someone within your organization. If you see that people are on hold for 7 minutes, 8 minutes, you might put more people into that call queue so that you can reduce that, and then as you watch it and it goes down, you can move those people back to their regular call queues and out of the main call queue, or however that works for your organization. Advertising, as I mentioned before, most companies have figured this out, right? You've called other companies and you're on hold and you're hearing something about the latest hearing aids or the latest product that company is selling, and they're doing some marketing to you or educational things while you're on hold. That's great. If you don't have that, you do want to get that enabled. There's no downside to having that. It's a very inexpensive thing. You can actually pay for a service through some companies. We use one called Woodstock Media Group, which we think very highly of, and they will charge you a monthly fee, and you get to modify and update your recordings periodically, and their voiceover professionals are very, very good. You should have a mobile application that works on your mobile phone or your employees' mobile phones so that you can act as if you're in the office when you're not in the office. The worst thing you can do is transfer calls from your office to a cell phone when they come in, because if that cell phone's turned off, or if they need to call someone else and they're using their regular cell phone to do so, it's going to display their cell phone number, or worst case, they're going to have their phone number like a doctor where it's not going to show the number at all when they call people back. Okay? Most people don't answer those calls these days. People have learned that that's not something that they want to answer if it doesn't show a phone number or a name whenever they get a call. So what we do is we recommend having a phone system that has an app that runs on your phone where you can call in and out using either your 4G or your Wi-Fi through your phone to call people using that app. When you call out of the office, it will show the extension either of your main office or your direct inward dial number for your phone itself. It can be set up to do about anything you want that way, to how you want to present yourself to your customers. But if you have that app, then your employees are empowered to look as if they're in the office when they're out on the road, and they're able to answer calls as if they're in the office. It's very beneficial. The next one is a computer application. That would be an application that you could either install on your computer or run through a web browser, depending on how your phone system works. The one we deploy has both. You can have a web browser where you can actually open up, say, Mozilla, Firefox, or Chrome, and go to a website, log in securely, and then access your phone system, all your recordings, create meetings, do all kinds of really advanced stuff through that web browser without even having anything installed. But if you want to, you can install a phone system software on your computer, and if you're a receptionist or a manager of a team, then you can go and put people in and out of call queues in real time. It's very powerful. You can also see the calls going on. If you have a headset that connects to your computer, you can actually then call barge those calls, listen in on calls, and really monitor and manage your staff like a major call center. With our phone system, that's not an added cost. That's just included in the system. It's very powerful. A lot of companies don't know these things exist. We love to educate them on them. Okay, and then as far as just advanced features, these are things that you may or may not need. The average user probably doesn't need many of these things, or if they need them, it's just a very limited thing, and you don't even need to know what they are. They usually are just going to get set up for you on some of them. So you want to be able to allow people to choose an option to receive a callback. If you've ever called Amazon, they have a really good system. They're one of the first companies I ever heard of that had done this, but you call into Amazon for support. If their call queue is full, you can press 2 and you'll get a call back. Well, the way that works on the Amazon side is I call in, I press 2, I hang up. On the Amazon side, whenever a receptionist or support person or whatever becomes available, as soon as that line is free and they hang up, their phone starts ringing. Or you can do a delay. So let's say it's 10 seconds. So that person hangs up and it's 10 seconds. That gives them time to get some chart notes done or whatever they need to do, and then their phone starts ringing. Well, what's happening is their phone is calling that person back because they're the first person off the line available to call someone back. So it starts ringing, they answer it, they're waiting for it to answer on the other side. When someone answers, they say, hey, this is so-and-so with such and such office. We missed your call. I wanted to call you back. How can I help you? And that really saves your customers time. It saves them a lot of frustration. Now they're not sitting on hold waiting forever, and they can get a call back at their convenience. So advanced call routing, where people can call in, and if their number's a certain phone number, you can route it certain ways. If they're in a certain area code, you can route it to certain offices. There's a lot of really complex things you can do about call routing. Most companies don't need a lot of advanced call routing, but if you do, you just have to ask the question, what do you want to accomplish? And then we try to put a plan together to make that happen, and same with your current provider. Call recordings. We're in the state of Oklahoma. In the state of Oklahoma, it's called a one-party state, which means that if one party knows that the call is being recorded, it's completely authorized. You technically don't have to notify anyone on the other side that you're recording it. We do recommend that if you're recording calls that you let people know that you're recording them, just out of respect for them. And usually what that looks like is this call may be recorded for quality assurance purposes, and then you let someone answer the phone after you've given them that notification, and then the call is recorded. And you want to keep those, say, 30 days. It can be very handy for your organization if you ever get into a dispute about he said, she said, depending on your type of business. If you do call recording, just remember if you fall under some kind of regulatory compliance or you take payments online, so HIPAA for healthcare, PCI compliance for online payments, if people give credit card information across the phone or patient records information, all those call recordings need to be highly secured. And so if your phone system does record, you need to make sure that it is encrypted at rest and encrypted in transit for all of those call recordings. And now, that's not something that many phone systems currently do. And even if they do, some of them will actually store those recordings on your local cell phone. So let's say you've got that mobile app on your phone and you're doing call recordings. Well, that may be stored on your employee's phone, which is not maybe encrypted or you don't have control over it. So you just want to take those things into consideration as you put your plan together. That's a question to be asking your provider. So some other features, like I mentioned, call barge, intercom. You can basically intercom an entire warehouse if you've got a bunch of phones, or you can have an external intercom where you can dial an extension and page the entire office. Video calling. So video calling would be if you've got a video phone. Example of one of those, this Grand Stream behind me has a camera in it, and it can do video calling between any other video camera phone that is supported, which is most of them these days. So you can do video calling. If the software you have does video conferencing, then you can do video conferencing through your computer as well. Fax to email, so people can send faxes, it'll get transferred to your email, and your PBX system will oftentimes manage that for you. Voicemail to email is one of my favorite features. Instead of me having to go to my phone, the light lights up in the corner here telling me that I've got a missed call, then I've got to go and listen to it. Instead of doing that, I can just go to my web browser or my smartphone application or my computer application and just listen to my recording there. But if I don't want to do that, because I work in email all day long, if I just soon see it in my email because I'm watching my email, well, voicemail to email will send it to email to me and I can listen to it there. It's a small WAV file attachment or MP something or other, MP3 attachment depending on what your phone system uses. And so once you open that up, you can listen to it. Now, the downside to that is, again, if people are storing information that falls under HIPAA compliance, PCI compliance, storing that in your email means that you've just got another place to have to secure. It can be done, and it can be done cost effectively, but you need to plan for it. Don't just turn on voicemail to email for everyone in your organization if you have any kind of compliance. You need to be thinking that through, thinking about, well, if they have a smartphone that they own, but the company allows them to have company email on it. Well, that email is going to be stored on their smartphone that has HIPAA compliant information or PCI compliant information. So think all that through, because all these things are interconnected these days. So just saying, yes, we're okay with having voicemail to email because it's securely stored on the server doesn't mean that it's securely stored everywhere or securely accessed everywhere that your employees might be. Email notifications for missed calls, nice feature. If you're doing voicemail to email, it's not something you probably would want to turn on, but let's say you don't want your employees getting voicemail to email, but you want them to know when they missed a call. So now what you can do, you can still have voicemail on the phones, or you can access it through an app depending on how you want to allow that. But with email notifications for missed calls, I may not go listen to the voicemail right away. I get an email that says this number called you, and I can go back to that number and it does the caller ID in the email, and then I can call it. Well, that's not going to contain electronic protected health information, so it's a very good way to be able to call people back without having to go and listen to all your voicemails. This is a really nice feature. Most of the modern phone systems can do this now. People don't usually know that it exists, but it's putting a physical phone at a remote site like a home where you have an employee that's going to be working from home or does work from home permanently or commutes back and forth. Instead of them using the soft phone on their cell phone because maybe you don't control that cell phone, it's personal, you want to have everything done on a device that you control, so you give them a laptop or a desktop and you give them a desk phone. So the employee takes this phone, just for example, and they they put that on their, plug that into their router on their home network. That phone dials home back to the cloud-hosted PBX or the on-premise PBX, and it is on the same system as everyone else in your office. They've got the extension that they have in their office at their phone at the desk there, or you just take their desk phone and you hand it to them and say, take this home, it'll work when you plug it in. So if you want to do that, most phone systems, modern phone systems these days can do that so that your employees can work anywhere they go. Now there are some limitations. Taking that phone to a hotel, some hotels and some public access will block certain types of transmission of data. It's just part of them securing their environment and also reducing the amount of bandwidth. They want you to surf for things, but they may not want you streaming audio or streaming video through their network because it uses a lot more bandwidth than just surfing. Okay, so you may get some issues there. I've not ran into any. I've actually taken my desk phone to various hotels as I've traveled around just to experiment with this, and I've had 100% success at this point getting my phone to dial back to my cloud-hosted PBX, which we host ours on Amazon S3 in the cloud, as well as our customers. So that's all I've got. Just wanted to go over some of the features. You really need to be asking these questions because if you're not getting reports, if you're not using a phone system and all the features that are there, you know, your phone company, your provider, they could care less, right? They're charging you a certain amount of money, whether you use all that feature set or not. And if your phone system you currently have doesn't do some of those things, now that you know what they are, it might be time to give us a call and let us talk to you about a new phone system. So that's about as much sales as I'm going to throw into this video. But if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach me at 918-270-6600, or you can hit us online at www.algsys.com. Thanks. Have a great rest of your week.